You know, you're more than likely to get in a crash when texting and driving, 23 times more likely, in fact, than if you're actually paying attention to the road in front of you. And Mary Dye, you're coming a long way to tell your story. The message, it can wait. You're kind of promoting that with AT&T the last 4 years almost. Yes. You just celebrated is not the word. You just acknowledged the death of your daughter back in May.
Yes.
Tell me about her and what it was like to get the phone call to realize how she died and that texting was the reason behind it.
Well, it was the day before her high school graduation, and she had gotten all of the things prepared. She had her hair done, bought the dress, you know, everything was ready, and she just wanted to blow off some steam. And she got an invitation from a young man that she was interested in, who was a minor league ball player, to come watch his game, sit in the special seats. Yeah. And so she was, you know, determined to go, even though we all thought, this really isn't the best choice. You know, family's coming in and you're taking a 2-hour drive. And she's like, oh, Mom, don't, you know, you worry too much. Of course. And, you know, she got about halfway there and was trying to get directions and received a text, where you at, and was starting to respond when her car went off the center, through the center median, clipped a bridge, and it started to roll, and her head came between the car and the pavement. She lived for 8 days. And
I know there's, if you go to the YouTube, we're playing a video online actually of one of the PSAs that you're involved with AT&T. You see a lot of those regarding, you know, it can wait, no text is worth dying, and you're one of those parents that unfortunately are a part of that.
Yes.
That PSA. And you see the picture of her in the hospital. You said 8 days.
8 days.
Was she ever conscious? Did she ever see you?
Well, she definitely didn't see us. We found out later that her optic nerves had been severed. There was the first day, you know, she wiggled fingers and toes on command. So we got to talk to her and tell her how much we loved her at that point in time.
Yeah, and that had to have been tough. But since then, since her death, you've been a big spokesperson for the It Can Wait campaign with AT&T, going across country.
Yes.
In fact, you're pretty much booked this week, so we very much appreciate you coming this early on KHQA this morning. How do you feel you're going to be able to get the message across to the teens, and not just teens, but adults, because it's an epidemic everywhere now? Yes,
you know, we're actually making progress. So over the last 4 years, we've gone from 77% of the teens down to 49%. Unfortunately, that gap's being filled by their parents, who in an effort to learn to communicate with their teens have learned to text.
Wow.
And so those numbers are climbing. So it's not an epidemic for just one demographic. It is everywhere, and you can't go down the street and not see it.
Yeah. Well, many more things to talk about with Mary Dye. When we come back in about half an hour, some staggering statistics. You know, it's unfortunate, but it's great to have you here and to hopefully spread the message and connect with at least a few of our viewers. All right, thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Where are you at? That was the text that Mariah West got when she was 18 just a few years ago. Ended up causing her to have an accident texting behind the wheel. Her mom, Mary Dye, is with us this morning, all the way from Arkansas. Thanks for coming up this morning. Now, you've teamed up with companies like AT&T to get people to stop texting behind the wheel. And I see it every single day when I'm driving. How do you get people to finally get in their head that this is not a safe thing to do?
It's mainly through education. You know, we're kind of up against the same fight that drinking and driving had. You know, it took 25 years to really bring that to a point where maybe it's not a good choice it's sociably unacceptable, and that's the same fight we're having with texting and driving.
And it's against the law in many states, including Illinois.
Illinois and Iowa, in fact. I was looking at the map that AT&T has on their site. This is their campaign, the It Can Wait. And unfortunately, Missouri doesn't have one yet, but Illinois and Iowa both have the illegal texting as a law.
Right.
A lot of folks say it won't happen to me. What do you say to those people?
That it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, but when. If you're going to engage in that behavior, it's going to catch up with you. It's a game of Russian roulette.
And texting and driving, 23 times more likely to get in a crash if you're texting behind the wheel rather than looking in front of you at what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, compare that to drunk driving, you're 7 times more likely.
That's an amazing statistic.
So when you look at those statistics, and this last year we've actually seen an increase where there were more fatalities for texting than drunk driving in this last year.
More than 1 million crashes in the last few years as well.
A million a year involving cell phone activity.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, distracted distracted driving has become such an epidemic. And I know one of the statistics out there says it takes about 5 seconds off the road when you're looking at that text, which if you're going just 55 miles an hour, so even slow on a highway, that's like going blindfolded down the length of a football field.
Exactly, and most of us wouldn't even think about
No.
closing our eyes and just drive, but you'll do that by taking that view off, the road.
And you've done this, has been going on for about 4 years since
Yes.
Mariah's death. How has it been seeing all the different younger generations and even the adults taking part in this epidemic that you're trying to say it can wait?
Well, I'm seeing positives. The younger people are starting to get it. Unfortunately, their parents aren't, and so we're reaching one demographic. Now we've got to kind of switch that up. We thought, well, the adults think, oh, I'm an experienced driver. It's not a big risk for me. It really is. There's just no way to escape.
Right. Text can wait.
Exactly.
What is it like for you as a parent to know that?
And I want to, while he's talking, I want to go ahead
that
and
your
show
daughter,
this.
through her untimely death, is making a difference in other people's lives.
Well, it's kind of a bittersweet. She wanted to be a teacher. She wanted to be an educator. She wanted to make a difference in people's lives. And so, this wasn't the way we had planned in the master plan, but she is accomplishing that.
She was beautiful too. I mean, you look
Thank
at those
you.
photos
Thank
and
you.
it was a tragedy.
Mary, thanks so much for sharing your story with us this morning. Thanks for doing what you're doing across the country and
My pleasure.
sharing Mariah's story and the campaign to just. Well, I say just let it ring. That's our thing.
That's our-
it can
yeah.
wait. Just let it ring. It's all the same thing. It's
Definitely
all
go
that
online to AT&T and KHQA's website at connecttrisitescom. You can make the pledge on both of those sites to put that phone away and drive.